Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley.
And there we are. Good evening. It is 9 o'clock. It is time for 10-year tip with myself, Garry Dibley, and what would be the ever capable modding maestro, that is Mark. Unfortunately, last week due to demand, I absolutely hammered all of Mark's videos so we could get the DNA 20 mod out in one shot. So this week Mark has the pleasure of having a night off, and hopefully somewhere up there is a clue about what we'll be talking about tonight. Talking about DNA 20, don't know if I mentioned last week, but I do have one. Yes, we have one in a box waiting right here to be made into a mod. Now I've had to sort of order some tools to sort of get to where I wanted to be, because I'm planning on using this little box here to put the DNA 20 in. You'll probably all recognise what that is, but hopefully that's going to be the new home for mine when I get the tools and when I get the time. I'm hoping I am not. My history with wood is not good, and I'm sure you guys have seen that. It's bleeding awful. But hopefully I'm going to try and drill holes and stuff in that stuff without totally mullering it, because if I do, it will be a crying shame. Now, the mod, or I'm not quite sure how to describe this one. Give you a bit of an insight. I was browsing the modding section of UK Vapors, and I come up with what is titled in the screen there, the Sparkomatic from Breaktru. Now, firstly, I must apologise, because all the way through my videos I am talking and I'm calling him Breaktru, which after looking at the name is quite bleeding obvious, but at the time for some reason I've always thought it's called Breakthrough, because some of the stuff he comes up with is almost groundbreaking. But he's come up with this thing called the Sparkomatic, which effectively is a if you like, a spot welding machine made from a disposable camera. Now I'm going to run a little vid while I rabbit for a little bit. This vid that I've got coming up, it shows, when you've got this set up correctly, exactly what you can achieve. Now the mod that he's got here has got a display on it, and effectively it's used for using if you like, non-resistance wire and spot welding the two together like that, with a bit of a spark, as I do find out a little bit later. Now he has asked me, and I did ask permission to show this video. I believe, if you like, the concept come from some guys on the ECF forum, which is MRE777, looking down at the notes, and Diver, who put together a TSAF, which I believe is along the same principle. However, I found this on UK Vapors and I wanted to have a go. It looked too damn good not to, if you get the meaning. And as you can see, by controlling, if you like, the voltage on a circuit that's built into a disposable camera, you can actually get very good results in welding these wires together. I know that a lot of people have, they struggle with twisting them together. A lot of people struggle with crimping them. They're damn fine wires. So this to me looked like the ideal opportunity, A, to make something that potentially could go bang, and B, to make sparks. It's what you guys love. I know you do. So yeah, I must say, all the way through this, I sort of made the mistake of not reading the thread in its entirety to start with. I should have done. I didn't. I just sort of rushed in there, as it were, and give it a bash. And I think you'll see, and I think the guys that, if you're watching this and you've put these together, you will understand. To start with, I cocked it up royally, but in the end we sort of got there, and I realised what my mistakes were. What I'm going to do is run into our first little video, and let's start the journey. And here we are again. Hopefully, if things have gone according to plan, you will have already known, or I should have tried to grab a video of something that Breaktru has put together, and I picked up from the forums. I wanted to have a play with. Again, this is a play, and I know there are lots of threads all over the place, and Breaktru he's been doing some good work on this. I believe he calls it the Sparkomatic. Now, effectively, it is a little device made from a disposable camera, and using some additional components, all slapped in a box, and it's used, if you like, as a spot welder for making or joining non-resistance wire to you know, the stuff that we normally make our wigs out of. Non-techie terms. So I'm not 100% sure how this is going to go. I've got a little box here. Effectively, what I'm going to try and do firstly is take this thing apart and get out the circuitry that we need. I know a lot of the guys have been using, I think, Fuji cameras. I got this for £1 on eBay, so I'm just going to see whether this actually works. I've been down today. Let me see if I can zoom down and I'll show you a little bit more of what we've got here. I've got some gold-plated posts here that you need to take a feed off your box for your meter leads and this, that and the other. And these little gold-plated posts were about £1.50 from Maplins, and I aim to sort of recess them in ever so slightly, so I can get a crocodile clip, if you like, on the base here, to go out to my my multimeter to get the reading of the charge, and another set of crocodile clips that I can unscrew this, get them clipped in on the top, and get a really good contact for my sparky things that we're going to be doing. I may well even use one of these. I'll try and adapt one that it wedges in there permanently, so that's can sit up and hold one half of the wire, then I can unscrew that and take it out when it's not in use. That's the plan anyway. I say I'm not 100% sure where we're going exactly with this. I've literally been reading the threads and trying to gain as much information as I can, but the way I see it working, we've got some big old caps to play with. It's the only ones they had, so we're going to play to see whether these things work. I'll go through these in a bit more detail, hopefully, when we get to that point. Don't expect this to be anything like what the other guys have put together. I am playing, but I'm sort of hoping. I've got a nice big old chunky on-off switch that I'm going to mount down in there, so there's no mistaking that is on or off. It is a solid on-off switch. Hopefully get that mounted down in there. I'm going to have a little charge LED down in there somewhere, and I'm going to have, if you like, my charge button and a fire button. So we'll turn our circuit on, we'll hold this down to charge, we'll see our LED light up when we're charging, and when we hit our voltage, desired voltage on our multimeter that will be connected to the two prongs up here, we can bring our other wire in, hit the fire button, and discharge all of the electricity that is built up in our capacitors, and hopefully spot weld some wires together. As I say, totally different to what, well, not totally different, along the same principle of what the other guys have done, we hope. As I said, at this moment in time, I don't know what I'm going to find in the camera, and this could all go totally wonky donkey before we even sort of go anywhere with it. But I'm going to start, just put this stuff to the side. These are quite good, Maplins, big bundle of crocodile leads. I think they're about £6. Lots of uses I think I can get out of those. Let's just shift all my components and that to one side. And we have our disposable camera. Now this disposable camera did come with a, if you like, a paper surround on it. I've already started ripping out the, I've ripped out the film, and now what I need to try and start doing is taking this camera to bits. Now these are all held in with little tabs, and I'm just going to be quite brutal. Here's our battery. Now I can straight away see down in there what I'm aiming for. I want to get that circuit out, so I don't want to cause any damage to the circuit, so I'm going to just start taking this and literally just being quite brutal with it, taking it apart bit by bit. There's our charge LED, which shows our flash charging. Obviously here's our flash. There are little tabs all around this that I'm just mullering. It's probably a far easier way of doing this, but brute force is always good. And I don't think there's any set way that we need to worry about doing this. But it all looks like it's coming apart. Getting there slowly. That's where I want to be a bit careful. Now straight away I can see a flaw in my plan, so I should be looking for another another housing. This circuit board is quite big that the flash is mounted on, and up there you can see. Let's bring that down. I'll sort of show you as we go. So we've got our big cap on there already. This is our charge LED. Here is our, if you like, our circuit board, and here mounted up here is our flash. There are 2 pins on there that we would probably need to take a feed from that will be going out to our terminals. So instead of a flash, we'd be feeding out to these gold-plated terminals. That effectively, what would happen in a camera flash? You hit your charge button, which is across these 2 pins here. That will start charging up this cap, which is linked across to the flash. We've got our LED coming on when we're hitting that charge button. Then obviously when we press the switch release up here to take a photo, you get a big discharge, which is your flash. Said that like he knew what he was talking about. Now you've got to start trying to release this circuit board out of here very, very gently. Just so we can see what we're playing with. There we go. Now, as you can see on here, these two contacts here. Let me come down, and at the moment all I'm doing is assuming, right? So we're assuming. We've got this here. This is our, if you like, where our battery would go. Yeah, there's our battery. Obviously that would go in there, somewhere along the lines like that. When we hit our charging switch, I can hear that winding up to charge. That's charging that cap. The light will come on. Then when we touch these 2 together, I'll show you that again. So on the back here we've got our little charging circuit. So we press that. That's charging up our flash. These 2 pins here, when I touch them together, we get a little short and our flash is to charge. So these 2 here are where potentially we will be taking out, if you like, our fire switch from. We need to work out this neg and this pos, how these are connected through here, quite simply, and we'll take that off to an external battery holder. We need to desolder our little flash, because that is where we're going to be taking, doing this all over the place, taking off our flash, because that is effectively where we'll be going to our posts. So I need to go and heat up the iron. We're going to start butchering this board. As I say, I think my case, you might be able to get it in here. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see where we go. It's going to be tight. I might need to look for another case. But what we might do with this is, if you like, prove it outside of the box, and then I can find a suitable housing for this to go into. I'm going to pop away. I'll come back in 2 when the iron is hot and we can start butchering. Right, so my iron's all nice and hot now, so I'm going to start playing a bit with this little flash board that we got here. Now, it's got to be said that the capacitor that comes on this board is probably not up to the job. And what I'm going to do is play with this. You know, I will need potentially to add or change this one out. Now, Breaktru has said on a lot of his threads, and I've read through all of his instruction sort of bits and read his sort of posts that he's put up on there. He's saying that realistically you will need a 220 300 and odd volt cap. Now this one here is coming with a this is an 80 UF, so it's not going to be anywhere near what I need. Now the UF is the, if you like, the microfarad rating of the capacitor. 330 volts. He's saying that 330 at about a 220 UF is pretty much perfect, and mixed results, or you know, he's saying that it's sort of like a play with this. You need to monitor your output voltage, and when you hit your charge button, you can watch that go up to sort of 60-70 volts. And again, mixed results with what you're actually. This is a play thing. So you know, you once I get the cap in here, or my new cap, or potentially you know, add another couple on to try and up the rating. It will be a case of what voltage I can get to make that spot weld for different materials. Again, this is sort of like a thing where we're doing this. I know some people do a lot of, if you like, joining of non-resistance and resistance wire, twisting, crimping, this, that and the other. This is, if you like, uses a spot weld philosophy. So you're touching the two together, and effectively you're melting the two wires together. Nice clean joint. So what I've got, I'm going to start by sort of stripping this down. As I mentioned, I've got my battery terminals up here. I'm going to take these out, and as I go I'm going to start adding in the wires that I need to add as well. So I'm just going to pop out a little bit there. At this stage I need to have another read, because I'm not sure whether the flash needs to stay in or not. So I'm learning as well as you know, as well as trying to put this thing together. Now this is my neg terminal as it came out of the mod, or the camera. It was feeding this way in the battery. So this is going to be my neg. So I'm going to start off by seeing if I can, I might have to get this in the grips while I'm working on this. Might make it a little bit easier. As I say, this is a learning experience for me as well. So I'm doing this the first time I've played with this. I'm going to do it live and we'll see how we go. Probably make a total pig's ear of it. But there we go, that come off nice and easy. So there's my neg. Now I'm wiring this up as I go, purely to sort of make it a little bit easier. So I just tin up the wire and chuck that straight back into place of the neg. From a power supply. There's my neg lead on from a power supply, and my pos lead is on this one here. Now that's got 2 solder points. I'm just going to see if I can relieve one of them. He says tight as buggery. Going all over the place for this. Hard trying to manipulate something out of a board upside down while you're trying to film it. It is coming. And that's out. And then there's a little tab on this end here that's sort of holding that in place as well. Let's try these off. And there's another solder point down there as well. Pain in the bum. Gets bloody hot. So there we go. There's that one off. So I'm going to get my pos on there as well. And again, it's quite difficult, or not difficult, but there's my pos lead on. Flipping it all over the shop. Now I'm going to just snip that back a little bit up here. So I do have here my power connection on. So the other two bits that we've got to do is look at, this is our little touch switch. So this is going to be our fire switch. So I need to be removing these two. And my fire switch I'm going to be rigging up to a little red button. And across these two terminals here, under there, that's literally touching those two, and that's the charge circuit. So I'm going to pop away and I'm going to try and get these two off because it's too difficult to damn film. And then I'll be soldering on here for my switch. I'm going to rig it up, like I say, off the bench, just have a look, see whether we can make some sparks. And if we get to a point today where we can actually make some sparks, then I'll be into a point of ordering up some new caps if the ones I've got are not suitable. I'll pop back in two. There we go. And those of you that have actually taken the time to read the Breaktru's thread in its entirety will realise I have made 2 schoolboy errors already, which I do try to rectify as I go along and make it look like it was totally planned. But in fact I was being a total donkey. But yeah, you'll see that as we go. I'm going to pop into our first little ad break now, and I will pop back very shortly after this.
Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley. iViber and iViber Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iViber.co.uk and iViber-elixir.co.uk. iViber and iViber-elixir.co.uk, proud sponsors of ViberTrails.tv. Liberty Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley.
And there we go, we're back in the room. Now, I'm going to speed things up because I must have waffled far too long at the beginning. I will say, this next video, I do make another error. Lots of errors tonight. I talk about joining caps together. Now, when you're stacking the caps, you need to join the pos to the pos, the neg to the neg. I say it totally the opposite way in this video. Ignore that. If you are thinking of making this, for Christ's sake, be safe. It can sting ever so slightly. Alright, so I've managed to strip out the bits I didn't need. I'm just going to quickly, while I'm here, I'm going to just solder up a on-off switch for our power supply. Badly. So I'm literally just taking across this switch here, which is our on-off switch. I'm just breaking the circuit of the negative side of the circuit. So this is where my battery is going to come in. So I'm just going to turn on and off the neg side. So I'm running my neg feed through this this big on-off switch. I've got a couple of wires that I'm going to tin up and add to. Take them out there now. A couple of wires I'm going to tin up and add across these terminals here. Now these two here were the, if you like, the little touch switch which activated the flash. So just bear with me while I tin up my pos bit. And realistically with these it's not going to make much difference which way they go round. But what I'm doing, I'm doing this and I'm soldering it up to the switches as I'm going. And as I say, all I want to do for this is realistically prove the if you like, prove the concept before I well, not the guy. We know the concept works because Breaktru has been playing with it. So not so much proving the concept, but proving that my little camera flash is going to work before I go out and buy new resistors and such. Don't even need new resistors, new capacitors. All over the place today. So I'm just going to solder up my switch to this push bit here. I think my iron's having a bad day today. So just soldering across the switch there, and effectively all we're doing with this is replacing that the two little contact wires that come off here. So that will be, if you like, my my fire button. Here's my master on off. Nice clunky, no mistake there. And the next stage is going to be to solder on my output. So effectively we've only got the, if you like, 6 wires coming off there. So we've got a battery input, we have a fire button, and sorry, we're going to have a couple more, aren't we? We want a charge button as well. So my charge button is going to be going across these two here, and that was when you push the flash down and it went. So I'm just going to get another couple of bits of wire and I will add my charge button. Now all of you guys who have actually made one of these up, and as I say, I've been reading a lot of threads on this myself, you may well be absolutely laughing your thingies off at me. I could completely be doing this wrong. I won't know until I test it. I probably could have done things a lot easier. The problem with me is I've just sort of gone at it again like a ball in a china shop and not read properly. So I'm hoping this is going to work, and hoping it's going to work for the viewers. So I'm just tinning out a couple of wires here, and I'll bring in place my my chargy switch. Of course, the worst thing that could happen is I could blow my face off. It must be said with this board, obviously, you know, you're charging up to a reasonable amount of voltage to get your to make that arc, make the spark that's going to make the weld, as it were, the spot weld. So it's worth pointing out that use very well insulated crocodile clips, because you don't want to be touching the brush. I can tell you that it will sting ever so slightly. Just bring this again, get in another switch. So this is my black one. This is going to be me, if you like, my circuit charge switch. I'll just tin my wires up on there. The only thing then that's missing is going to be our, if you like, our output. It says getting tangled up everywhere. Now our output on this particular mod, we'll be taking it directly out from the cap. Negative on this is marked up with your silver band, positive is on the other pin. Pretty much the same with most caps. Negative is marked up here with your silver, pos on the other side. Now you can effectively stack these, pos to neg to pos, and stack them up to increase your, if you like, the volume. This is what stores, the cap actually stores the it stores the voltage. All you're doing is releasing all of that voltage that's stored in there in one short burst to cause the spark. And again, you can double these up. Best one is 220 UF microfarad at around about 300 volts. If you can't get that, mine, as I say, has come with a bad one. But I'm going to solder these two wires on, and then we'll start adding a battery and seeing where we're going. I'll be back after this in 2. Right, so I'm back down on the board, and I'm going to install, if you like, the discharge portion, the bit that makes the sparks. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to solder directly on to the cap. I'm just going to tin up the legs of the cap there ever so slightly, tin up a couple of wires. I'm going to do these one at a time. Reason for that, you can add a, if you like, a discharge post in here as well. So my pos wire is going to be going on my pos leg. And what I'm going to do, actually I'll chuck the two on. You just don't want these two to touch realistically yet. You don't know if there's any residual current or residual charge left in that capacitor. Mind you, it shouldn't, because we're not pressing our button. What I've got, now I've got my two wires there, is I've got these, as I said, these gold plated terminals. And I'm just going to pop one in the, clamp that in there ever so slightly. I'm just going to pop a dab of solder on the top end of these as a temporary fix. Solder my neg end on the end of my black one, as you would, ever so slightly warm. I've already tinned up my red one, so let me just get my positive end of the cap and get that on the top of there. Stupid boy didn't tin his wire up first. So I've got, if you like, my output posts, and these I'm thinking to mount through the box with these screws will obviously be down, which then gives me enough to get a clamp on the top, one of these leads clamped on the top, crocodile clip, and then hopefully I'm going to use this bit here to permanently fix one into the neg end. So when my box is on the table, I'll be able to hit the button and touch the two together. We are effectively, hopefully, all wired up via a power supply. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pop away, and I'm going to stick a normal battery box on. This runs on a 1.5 volt battery, this one's a AA. So I'm going to get a new battery. I'm going to pop a box on, and we'll have some power, and then I'll pop back and see if we can make some sparks. Back in a bit. Okay, well I'm back, and I've added the battery compartment. So now is the time to, if you like, prove or try and prove this in theory outside of the mod. Now if I turn my my master circuit on, which is the if you like the power to the board, I should be able to hit my charge button, and that will charge up, or be charging up the capacitor in the board. And now if I hit my discharge button, we should get a flash come out of there, as you can see. Now, because I've come directly off the cap there, that would mean that I would expect there to be some residual, if you like, charge in that board. Now, I'm going to just tap these two together and see whether that will discharge. There we go. So that's discharged the rest from the cap. And that's one of the beauties of probably putting in a discharge post. Hopefully we should be draining everything from the cap, but you know, it's good to have a little bit of a discharge, and I'll go through that. It involves a post and some resistors and stuff, but all we're doing at this moment in time is sort of having a look to see where we're going to come through. Now, what the next step for me is going to be, let me just show you down on these gold banana plugs. As I mentioned earlier, when I put this in the box, I'm probably going to be mounting it about this high, purely because what I want to do is meter the voltage before I discharge, and I'll probably use one of these to clip onto here and take that to my negative terminal on my meter. But what I want to try and do is get one of these sort of in there as well. Screw that up, so I've got a sturdy platform to offer wire up to. Now, if you've seen the thing I showed you at the start, Breaktru's video of him constantly spot welding, you know, making joins, it's going to be far easier to have a sturdy platform and then crocodile clip off here to your other end, and that's what you touch to the neg. So fixed one here, flexible one on the positive, and I'll be fixing the wire in there and offering the wire up to make the short. Now, the way that I'm going to do that is quite simply, I'm going to need to doctor one of these. Now let me just turn this circuit off and move it out of the way. We've got our banana plug here, and I'm just going to slide the sheathing back off of there. And what I'm going to try and do is release this wire from there now, and if you like, solder on a bit of a post, so that post can pop down in here, and then I can screw that up tight, and it's easy to remove it when I don't need it. So for that, what I'm probably going to do is just strand a couple of the, strip this back a bit, strand some together, and then solder it up and crimp it back in there. First stage really is to try and get this out from in hell. It's currently in hell. Yeah, if I'm waffling a lot today and not sounding like I know what I'm doing, it's because I don't. As I say, I'm sort of reading up on this and playing with it as I go as well. So I'm learning as much as attempting to show. I'm also learning. What I'm doing here is just going to be stripping back some of this wire, hopefully just nipping away, taking back the insulation badly. Far easier ways of doing this. I'm just going to twist that all together, and then I'm going to double it over, and then what I'm going to do is tin the hell out of it. Just really to give me, if you like, a sort of a solid post that I can clamp and screw down into there. There'll be a better way of doing this, no doubt. It's going to give me a good starting point. Rather warm. While I'm doing that, I just might as well grip that in there, see if I can get some solder down in on this post here. Just laying a little bit inside the crocodile clip. And get my soldered up post and pop that in
there. Like so. So it's not going to be, this will be prettied up. This is just my sort of initial thoughts on it, if you know what I mean. And I didn't let that go hard, did I? He's having a meal with it today. So yeah, hold that in place while it cools. And then you can snip it off. Now, one of the great things about these insulation, you can get them to a certain point when you're popping these back on, slide them on. To get it past there, now you don't want to be doing this for too long, but you can pop it on your finger, pop that in, hold the other end, release it, and then you can push up your insulation. What that is going to enable me to do, hopefully now, popping back down on the bench, is try and clamp. So I'm going to move my insulation right up, pop that down inside here, and get this clamped in. So I've got my little post, or my fixed post, totally off camera, my little fixed post clamped in there that I can hold my bit of wire in. That's the theory anyway. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go away, I'm going to rig this up with a meter. We'll come back and I'll show you sort of how I envisaged rigging up the meter and monitoring the charge that we got coming off. Bear with me for 2 ticks, we'll get that rigged up and I'll come back to you.
And there we go, we're back again in the room, and as you can see I was totally learning as I went along, and I am rather honoured to have the guy who sort of put that together in the chat tonight, so thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Breaktru. Pleasure, and again that mod gave me so much fun and so much pleasure, and it was shocking, as you will see in a little bit. But going on, second ad break, I'll be back.
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley. Liberty Flight sponsors 10-year tip with Garry Dibley.
Oh, there we go, knocking things flying as I come back to you. So yes, this was the point when I actually discovered during this process that I'd made a few, how can I put it, cock-ups is the best way to describe it. And I try to rapidly correct them in this next set of videos, which was sort of, you know, I started making excuses basically. There is no excuse for making excuses. I did cover it very, very well, but obviously I didn't grasp the concept fully when I was looking at the thread. Again, if you're joining us late, I would highly recommend if you go to the UK Vapors modding section and look up the Sparkomatic. There is a thread in there that leads on to another thread that gives so much information on this mod. It is incredible. Now, like I say, I thought it was going to be, it is a very simple mod when you understand the concept, which is sort of why we do these shows. I went at it like a bull in a china shop and played a little bit, which is where we are at right now. So I think it starts to get interesting from this point in, and new pants were needed at some points. Here we go.
Right, so I've sorted out two other little crocodile clip leads that come with my kit. I'm just going to attach one onto the positive end here, and I'm going to attach one onto the negative terminal here. And what I'm going to do with these is effectively, if I zoom out, you will see the fluke. I'm going to be attaching these to the other ends to my prongs. So my pos on my pos prong and my neg on my neg prong. You can straight away see I'm getting some, if you like, voltage from the cap. I'm going to turn the circuit on and you'll see that charge. Let's turn the circuit on. If I hit my charge button, you will see that rapidly start increasing. And rapidly dropping. Now if I hit my discharge button on my flash, you'll see that drop right down. If we short our pins together, see it drop down even further. Purpose of this, I know you could if you had a decent enough meter, this is to gauge your charge level. Now from what I've read on the forums with the guys, when we get the bigger capacity cap in, obviously it will take longer to charge up. I know some are saying they've been having success around about 60-70 volts. You see that fly right up and then drop rapidly down. I'm gonna have a go. We're gonna get some wire and make a spark. But effectively, I've already got my negative end on here, which will hold one piece of wire. Simply need to attach another crocodile clip to my pos pin to hold the other piece of wire, because I don't want to be doing it in my hands. And then by touching the two together, which is where you get your spark, where you get your arc, and where you get your spot weld from. Again, I fully do not expect this to work with the capacitor that's in there at the moment, purely because I don't think it's got enough juice. It may well surprise me, but if this works, this is, if you like, first step. Next step will be to find a suitable box to get it all housed in it, you know, nicely, and get a much bigger capacitor. But just showing you, as Breaktru's done very, very well in his pictorials and bits and pieces, this is where I got this from. You know, no credit to myself at all. I am just duplicating something that is up there on the web, and hopefully showing your guys, if you like, my sort of spin on it. And my spin is with the terminals. That's it. I'm going to go and get some wire. I'll come back and we'll see if we can make a spark.
Now, at that point, I must point out that I had to refilm the last little bit in our video, because I didn't realise just how unwimpy that capacitor was, and it bit me quite. It was interesting, put it that way. Now, my engineering life, I've worked as a TV and video engineer as an apprentice when I started out a long time ago, and I've been bit by televisions. I've been bit by car parking barriers and all sorts, but that was really rather shocking. I had to cut it out, as Mark did last week. Obviously, Mark cut out the bit where he unfortunately lost the screen on his DNA 20, and we're still in remorse for that. And but yeah, it was that sort of. I think at that point, Mark said to me, "I don't think I can air that," and he re-edited it, as I have with this, because there were a few expletives that I just didn't want to put up. But I can say it was a rather shocking experience, and it brings me on to, if you like, a more of a health and safety point of view. If you are attempting to do something like this, please be very, very careful. Understand what you're doing. Don't touch a POS and an egg wire when you've got a fully charged cap. It will discharge in your hand big time, and wake you up thoroughly. I can most definitely assure you of that. So this is something, if you sort of, you understand what you're doing, you understand the dangers. Caps can go bang if you wire them up wrongly. They're not the safest things in the world. There are differences. Some are vented, some are not. I would imagine, and looking at some of the ones that I've got on my camera here, that is a vented cap. They can go pop. Look it up on the net before you even attempt to make this. Do a lot of research. I didn't. My stupid mistakes, and I got shocked, and it hurt. But there we go. So I'm going to show you my final bit now of the shocking, not me, but the wires.
Okay. One thing to point out is, obviously I've had, if you like, a discharge switch to test the flash, purely to test, if you like, this circuit was working. Because I've come directly off the cap now and I'm getting my short directly off the capacitor, there is no need whatsoever to have that switch there. That was purely to test. So that switch can now be removed as such, he realises. No need to discharge it, because we are effectively just discharging the cap straight when we short. Now I'm going to try, he says try, to see whether this is going to work. I'm going to go down on the bench here. I might have to move some stuff around. So as you can see, we've got one of our probes there with a little bit of wiring. Got my other probe here, which is holding the other bit. Now it has been said that this takes some practice to get these damn two touched together. What I'm going to do is we're just going to see if we can make, like I say, I don't expect this to weld. I've got two pieces of, this is 0.2 wire. I'm just going to charge up, and let's see if we can make a little spot weld. I'll be very pleased if it does work, but it doesn't hold much faith whatsoever. So I'm just charging this up and give it full chunt on the cap until it peaks out. I'm peaking out round about there. And we did. We have a little spot weld. Oh, happy bunny with that. So yeah, it worked, believe it or not. There it is. We have a spot weld of sorts. As you can see, that's going to fall off. It's not perfect, but it did work. Let's see if we can. I'm going to hit another bit of wire. That was fun. Quite enjoyed the pop on that. Now the one thing I've noticed, it's quite hard not to actually up your pants when you're doing that. It takes a lot of nerve to hold that on a direct short. He says, a lot of nerve. Let me charge it up again. Now I know it's probably not right, it shouldn't go on the same bit. I'm going to try on the other end. Oh, and we've lost everything. Let me pop that back in the shot. If nothing else, for the spark value. So now I'm going to go across that way this time, just see if we can make it hold again. Charging up. And let it peak out. and my wire's on there. It's not on there perfectly, you know, it's not the correct voltage, I don't think, for that to hold, but it's stayed there. It's on this time. It's on. Look at that. It's there. It's staying there. So yeah, where do we go from here? I may well try and put that in a box because that looks damn good. As we say, born from seeing this on the UK Vapors forum, reading up a lot on what Breaktru and the other guys have done. I will try and mention, or I may have mentioned beforehand, there are another two guys on ECF that have put something together like this as well. We're by no means, you know, claiming that any of this is our idea. All credit and respect to those guys who put in the work. Now, a little tiny spot welding device for welding your non-resistance and your resistance wire together, made from a very cheap disposable camera. I'm going to turn that circuit off. The shock on there was incredible. Obviously, as I say, I had my test switch in, which does the same purpose. You know, my test switch realistically in here was so I could test my circuits working to get me flash. Just so I know everything. Now I can remove this one. It was a schoolboy error, because obviously I'm getting my short when I touch the two wires together. I didn't need that in at all. Back to me in the studio. Hopefully this has been as shocking for you as it has been for me. Catch you in a bit.
So there we go, and yes, lovely. A show made from, for once, scanning the forums. And Breaktru, thank you very much for posting that on UK Vapors. Thanks very much for agreeing for me to use your video and have a punt at it here on Vapor Trails TV. Again, I know Breaktru has sort of given credit to the guys who originally, if you like, come up with the concept, and that is Diver, who come up with a TSAF, and MRE777, who had I think he had the original idea for a mod with a disposable camera. But essentially, that is us for tonight. I think, hopefully, if my tools arrived, or not arrive, if they arrive, I'm going to be looking at sticking the DNA in this one. I'm going to start that next week if all pans out well. If not, we'll come back with something else. But again, it has been emotional. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us tonight. We will see you next week. Don't forget, this week, tomorrow, Vapor Scene. Wednesday we have VTTV Talk, Haze Hour on Thursday, and on Sunday the Techo Box. And come very shortly, I think we have someone nutty coming. But catch you soon after this. See you now, bye.
Liberty Flight sponsors 10-Year Tip with Garry Dibley.